You think you know who's toxic in your life, but the real danger is invisible, lurking in the unconscious of those closest to you. It's not the loud villains or obvious bullies you need to fear most. It's the charming friend, the loving family member, the colleague who seems so kind, yet leaves you doubting yourself, drained, or trapped in their emotional chaos. These aren't deliberate attacks. They're the shadows of others' unacknowledged darkness, seeping into your mind and hijacking your peace. Carl Jung warned us, what people refuse to see in themselves becomes a force that controls them. And you, if you're not careful, have you ever felt drained after a conversation, like someone stole your energy without you knowing why? Maybe you were blamed for something you didn't do, or felt responsible for fixing someone else's pain. That's not just bad vibes, it's their unconscious projecting onto you, turning you into a mirror for their hidden wounds. You're not just dealing with people, you're battling their shadows, and they're pulling you into a game you don't even see. Jung's work on the unconscious reveals that these dynamics aren't random, they're patterns, and they're everywhere, silently shaping your relationships and your reality. What if you could spot these dangers and protect your mind? What if you could break free from the invisible threads tying you to others' chaos? You're about to learn how Jung's insights can help you see, name, and shield yourself from these hidden forces. This isn't just a video, it's a wake-up call to reclaim your psychic freedom. If you're ready to see the hidden forces shaping your life, smash that like button now. Let's dive into Jung's wisdom and uncover the dangers hiding in plain sight. You've been warned about toxic people, the manipulators, the narcissists, the ones who wear their malice like a badge. But Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, revealed a far more insidious threat, the unconscious. Jung taught that what we don't see in ourselves controls us and others. Beneath every smile, every kind word, every interaction lies a hidden force, the unconscious mind, a vast unseen realm of repressed fears, wounds and desires. When someone ignores this inner world, it doesn't stay quiet, it becomes a shadow, and when it's ignored, it hunts for a host. Too often, that host is you. Jung's groundbreaking work, like the ego and the unconscious in Aion, shows that the unconscious isn't just a personal problem, it's a relational one. One of his key concepts is projection, where people offload their unseen flaws, fears or shame onto others. Imagine someone who can't face their own anger. Instead of owning it, they see you as the angry one, blaming you for their unrest. In the ego and the unconscious, Jung writes, projections change the world into the replica of one's own unknown face. You're not seen as you are, you're a mirror for their buried truths. This isn't always intentional. The most dangerous people aren't scheming villains, but those blind to their own darkness, acting out patterns they don't understand. Projection is everywhere. A friend who feels inferior might call you arrogant, projecting their insecurity. A partner haunted by guilt might accuse you of betrayal, seeing their own flaws in you. A 2016 study in Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin supports this, showing that people with unresolved emotional conflicts are more likely to attribute their negative traits to others. The result, you're caught in a psychological trap, feeling responsible for emotions you didn't cause, solving problems that aren't yours. The unconscious is a shadow, and when it's ignored, it doesn't just haunt the person, it invades your reality. This dynamic is subtle, but devastating. You might try to help, thinking you're being kind or empathetic, but you're sinking into someone else's psychic mess. Jung warned that unacknowledged unconscious content turns relationships into battlegrounds. In Aion, he describes how the unconscious seeks expression through others, making you a symbol, a savior, an enemy, a scapegoat, anything but yourself. The danger isn't just emotional exhaustion, it's losing touch with your own reality. You start questioning, am I the problem? Did I do something wrong? When the real issue is their unseen shadow pulling the strings. Let's make this real. Have you ever been blamed for something that felt like it wasn't about you at all? Maybe a coworker snapped at you for no reason, or a family member made you feel guilty for their bad day. That's projection at work, their unconscious offloading onto you. Comment below, when's the last time you felt someone's emotions weren't really about you? Sharing your story could help others spot the pattern in their own lives. The truth is, we're all vulnerable to this. Jung believed everyone has an unconscious, and we all project to some degree. But the danger escalates when someone lives completely disconnected from their inner world, letting their shadow run wild. These people aren't evil, they're unaware, and that's what makes them so destructive. A 2019 Journal of Analytical Psychology article notes that unintegrated unconscious content creates psychic contagion, where one person's unresolved issues infect those around them. You don't just feel their pain, you absorb it, carry it, live it. This is just the beginning. Jung identified specific types of people whose unconscious patterns wreak havoc, not because they're malicious, but because they're blind. The first is the unconscious manipulator, someone who turns you into a canvas for their hidden wounds. Let's dive into their world and learn how to spot them before their shadow becomes your burden. The unconscious is a hidden force, turning relationships into battlegrounds through projection, as Jung revealed. But not all dangers are loud or obvious. Some creep in quietly, wrapping you in their web before you realize you're trapped. These are the subtle manipulators, people whose unconscious patterns ensnare you not with aggression, but with charm, victimhood, or polished facades. Jung's work helps us identify two key types: the unconscious manipulator, who projects their wounds to make you doubt yourself, and the bearer of the persona, who lives for appearances and demands you conform to their script. They're actors in a play, and you're forced onto their stage, playing roles you never chose. The unconscious manipulator doesn't scream or scheme, they draw you in with fragility. They seem sensitive, misunderstood, even charismatic, but their wounds run the show. Jung's concept of projection, detailed in the ego and the unconscious, explains their game. They refuse to face their pain, so they pin it on you. In their mind, you're the cause of their anger, sadness, or failure. A 2017 study in Journal of Personality found that people with unresolved trauma often project negative emotions, blaming others to avoid self-reflection. You become their scapegoat, savior, or enemy. Not because of who you are, but because of what they can't confront. They play the victim masterfully. If they're upset, it's because you let them down. If they feel small, it's because you acted superior. Their accusations are vague, emotional, impossible to pin down, leaving you questioning your own reality. Jung warned that this projection creates psychic blindness. Where they don't see you, they see a distorted reflection of their inner chaos. You try to help, thinking you're being kind, but you're sinking into their narrative, apologizing for things you didn't do, fixing problems you didn't create. The trap is subtle. Their charm or vulnerability makes you feel responsible, but you're just a canvas for their unhealed wounds. The bearer of the persona. The bearer of the persona is even slicker. They're the perfect colleague, the flawless parent, the friend who never falters. But something feels off, too polished, too controlled. Jung's concept of the persona, from the ego and the unconscious, describes this social mask we wear to fit in. It's normal to use it, but the bearer of the persona is their mask, believing they're the image others admire. A 2019 social psychological and personality science study shows that over-identification with social roles leads to emotional repression, creating inauthentic relationships. Their true self, messy, vulnerable, real, is locked away, and they expect you to play along. They demand perfection, not just from themselves but from you. Express raw emotion, and they freeze. Challenge their image, and they deflect. They're uncomfortable with anything that threatens their facade, so they pressure you to conform, smile, agree, perform. Jung warned that this disconnect from the self stifles individuation, the journey to wholeness. You feel it. Conversations lack depth. Interactions feel rehearsed. You start censoring yourself, hiding your flaws to fit their script, losing touch with your own authenticity. They're not malicious, they're trapped in their own illusion, but their need for control pulls you into it too. Both types are actors in a play. They don't even know they're directing. The manipulator casts you as the villain or savior in their drama. The persona bearer demands you read from their polished script. Either way, you're not a person, you're a prop, forced onto their stage, losing your own voice in their unconscious performance. Have you ever felt pressured to hide your true self to keep someone comfortable? Maybe you swallowed your feelings to avoid their judgment, or played along to keep the peace. That's their unconscious at work. Share in the comments, who in your life makes you feel like you're playing a role? Your story could help someone else break free. These subtle manipulators are dangerous because they're hard to spot, but they're just the beginning. Their projections pave the way for more volatile types, whose unconscious forces don't whisper, they erupt. Let's explore those next, where the stakes get even higher. The subtle manipulators, the unconscious manipulator and bearer of the persona, pull you into their unconscious games with charm and control. But not all dangers are so quiet. Some hit like a thunderclap, unpredictable and jarring, leaving you reeling in their wake. These are the volatile shadows, people whose repressed emotions and unconscious triggers erupt without warning, turning relationships into emotional minefields. Carl Jung's insights, particularly in Archetypes and the collective unconscious, reveal two such types: the owner of the repressed shadow, who buries their darkness until it explodes, and the complex person, who swings between affection and chaos, driven by hidden wounds. They're a storm, calm one moment, destructive the next, and you're caught in their tempest. The owner of the repressed shadow seems stable, polished, disciplined, even admirable. They pride themselves on control, always composed, never rattled. But beneath this facade, a storm brews. Jung's concept of the shadow, detailed in Archetypes and the collective unconscious, describes the parts of ourselves we reject: anger, envy, desire, even untapped potential. When ignored, these don't vanish, they fester. A 2018 study in Journal of Analytical Psychology found that repressed emotions amplify stress responses, leading to disproportionate outbursts. For this person, every wrong feeling is shoved into the unconscious, building pressure until it bursts. You see it in their overreactions. A minor critique sparks rage. A small slight festers into years of resentment. They're moralistic, quick to judge others' flaws while denying their own. Jung warned that the shadow is everything the individual refuses to recognize, and when it breaks free, it's brutal. You're left stunned, wondering what you did wrong, when the real trigger was their internal war. They don't mean to hurt you, they're blind to their shadow, so it lashes out, leaving you as collateral damage. Their calm exterior hides a ticking bomb, and you never know when it'll detonate. The complex person is even more unpredictable, a whirlwind of extremes. One moment, they're warm, loving, the best friend or partner you could imagine. The next they're cold, accusatory, or engulfed in despair. Jung's theory of complexes, outlined in The Ego and the Unconscious, explains this. Complexes are emotional fragments in the unconscious, formed by trauma or unresolved experiences that hijack behavior. A 2020 personality and individual differences study shows that unresolved complexes cause erratic emotional responses, triggered by seemingly unrelated events. A casual comment might hit an old wound, abandonment, rejection, and they react as if you've betrayed them. They don't see the present, they're reliving the past. Their affection pulls you in, but their outbursts push you away, creating a cycle of connection and chaos. You walk on eggshells, avoiding triggers you can't predict, hoping to keep the good version. Jung noted that complexes act like fragmented personalities, and you feel it. Loving them is like loving two people, one who adores you, one who attacks you. You try to fix it, but you're battling ghosts that aren't yours. Both types are storms, their unconscious forces gathering strength in silence. The repressed shadow is a pressure cooker, erupting in sudden fury. The complex person is a tempest, shifting from sunshine to lightning in seconds. You're not just in their path, you're swept up, disoriented, questioning your own reality as their chaos engulfs you. When's the last time someone's outburst left you questioning your own reality? Maybe a loved one exploded over something small, or flipped from warmth to hostility, leaving you lost. That's their shadow or complex at play. Here's your challenge. Try noticing these patterns this week. Watch for sudden shifts or overreactions. Then comment, what did you spot? Your observation could spark someone else's clarity. These volatile types are exhausting, But there's an even darker threat. Those who don't erupt but drain you silently, consuming your energy until you're a shell. Let's unmask these insidious forces next, where the danger lies in what you don't see coming. The volatile shadows, the owner of the repressed shadow and the complex person, strike like storms, their unconscious eruptions, leaving chaos in their wake. But there's a subtler, more insidious threat, the silent drainers. These people don't explode or accuse, they consume your energy quietly, leaving you hollow before you realize what's happening. Carl Jung's work, particularly in the ego and the unconscious, reveals two such types: the psychic vampire, who feeds on your time and empathy through dependency, and the moral controller, who uses guilt to repress your freedom. They're leeches, feeding on your soul while smiling, and their danger lies in how easily they slip past your defenses. Let's unmask them and learn how to protect yourself. The psychic vampire. The psychic vampire doesn't demand with anger, they cling with neediness. They crave your attention, your comfort, your presence, presenting themselves as vulnerable or perpetually in crisis. Jung described such dynamics as symbiotic relationships that hinder individuation, where one person leans on another to avoid their own psychic growth. A 2019 study in Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that emotional dependency erodes well-being in close relationships, draining the giver's energy. You start by offering support, then find yourself trapped. Every conversation is about their problems, every moment hijacked by their needs. Their weapon is subtle manipulation. They guilt you for setting boundaries, framing your distance as cruelty. You're the only one who understands me, they say, or I don't know what I'd do without you. You feel responsible, so you give more time, energy, empathy, until you're exhausted, your own needs buried. Jung warned that these bonds dissolve the self, blurring where you end and they begin. You're not just tired, you're existentially drained, as if your essence is slipping away. They don't mean to harm, they're lost in their own void, but their hunger leaves you empty. The moral controller. The moral controller is even stealthier, cloaking their control in virtue. They wield morality like a weapon, judging your choices to keep you in line. Jung's Aion explores how rigid ideals can mask unintegrated shadows, and the moral controller embodies this. They condemn your spontaneity, your desires, even your joy, framing them as selfish or wrong. A 2020 psychological report study showed that excessive moralizing in relationships fosters guilt and compliance, stifling authenticity. They don't shout, they lecture, sigh, or offer advice laced with shame. You shouldn't feel that way, or I'm just trying to help you be better. Their righteousness hides their own repressed flaws. Unable to face their imperfections, they project them onto you, making you the sinner in their narrative. You feel watched, inadequate, as if living authentically is a betrayal. Jung saw this as a barrier to individuation, noting that excessive moralism blocks self-knowledge. You internalize their judgment, repressing parts of yourself to avoid their disapproval, until your freedom feels like a crime. They believe they're saving you, but they're caging you in their unconscious dogma. Both types are leeches, feeding on your soul while smiling, one through endless need, the other through sanctimonious control. They don't attack, they erode, draining your vitality drop by drop until you're a shadow of yourself, caught in their unconscious web. To break free, use 3 tools. Awareness, recognize their patterns. Are you exhausted after every interaction? Feeling guilty for being yourself? Name the dynamic, vampirism or control. Boundaries, set limits firmly. Say no to excessive demands or unsolicited judgment. A 2018 Journal of Personality study found boundaries protect mental health in draining relationships. Self-reflection, check your emotions. Are they yours or induced? Journal or meditate to reconnect with your core. Jung emphasized self-awareness as the key to psychic sovereignty. Have you ever felt guilty for wanting space from someone's demands? Maybe you hesitated to say no, fearing you'd seem cold. That's their unconscious pulling you in. Want more tools to protect your mind from hidden dangers? Subscribe now and join the community, reclaiming their psychic freedom. Hit that button to stay empowered. These silent drainers. are the hardest to spot, but awareness is your shield. By seeing their patterns and guarding your energy, you step toward freedom. Let's seal this journey with a call to own your psyche and break free from the unconscious grip of others. You've journeyed deep into the shadows of the psyche, unmasking the unconscious threats that silently shape your life. You've seen the unconscious manipulator turn you into a canvas for their wounds, the bearer of the persona demand you wear their mask, the owner of the repressed shadow erupt with buried rage, the complex person drag you into their chaos, and the psychic vampire and moral controller drain your soul with need and guilt. These aren't just people, they're forces driven by unseen darkness, and you've learned their power over you. But you've also learned to see, to protect, to break free. Now the question is, what will you do with this truth? Will you stay trapped in others' shadows, tiptoeing around their projections, sacrificing your energy to their unconscious games? Or will you reclaim your mind, standing firm in your own reality? This isn't just about spotting danger, it's about owning your psyche. Jung taught that true freedom comes from facing the unconscious, both in others and yourself. You're not a victim of their patterns, you're a warrior, armed with awareness, boundaries and self-knowledge. Your psyche is yours, guard it, know it, free it. This journey isn't the end, it's the beginning. Every relationship, every interaction is now a chance to choose yourself, to cut the invisible threads binding you to others' chaos. If this opened your eyes, like this video to mark your awakening. Share it with someone who needs to wake up, someone caught in these dynamics. Subscribe for more tools to master your mind and stay free. The unconscious thrives in darkness. Shine your light, and it loses its grip. Step into your power now.